Have you ever noticed how an entire genre of film can just poof, vanish? In the 80s and 90s, one type of movie was absolutely everywhere. It was dark, it was dangerous, and it was unapologetically adult. It completely captured the cultural moment, dominated the box office, owned the video stores, and then it felt like overnight it was just gone. So yeah, let's get into it. We're talking about the rise and the spectacular fall of the erotic thriller.
This quote right here from an actress who was in a bunch of these movies pretty much says it all, doesn't it? It gets right to the boundary-pushing, often really controversial heart of what these films were all about. You know, they lived in this murky gray area of morality, power, and desire that was totally designed to provoke you. This was never about making you feel comfortable. It was all about the danger.
And that really is the central mystery we're unpacking here. I mean, think about it. Over 500 of these movies flooded video store shelves and theaters back in their heyday. They were a total Hollywood staple. So the big question is, what was the erotic thriller? And how did a genre that was so successful just completely fall off the map? Let's break it down.
To really understand the erotic thriller, we have to go back to where it all started. It didn't just pop up out of nowhere. No, it was the product of a perfect storm. A very specific time, a very specific place.
It was this wild mix of things all happening at once. So first, on the tech side, you had the boom in VCRs and video rental stores. Suddenly, there was this huge new market for movies that were, let's say, a little too risque for primetime TV. Then, there was the money. This led to a direct-to-video or DTV boom, where studios could make a really nice profit on smaller movies made just for rentals. And the culture? Well, the backdrop of the AIDS epidemic gave sex a new and very real sense of danger, while at the same time, post-feminist debates were stirring up all kinds of anxieties around women's growing power in the world. All of that together, that was the fertile ground where this genre took root. Okay, so now we know the environment that created it. But what exactly is an erotic thriller? What are its key ingredients? At its core, the genre is a hybrid. It's a mashup. It takes all the shadowy plots and untrustworthy characters from classic film noir, but it throws out all the old-school modesty. The engine that makes it run is what one film scholar calls the pleasure/danger principle. Basically, every moment of pleasure, every bit of romance, is laced with a constant threat that something terrible is about to happen.
The golden age really kicks off in the 80s. It starts with Body Heat in 81, which brought back that classic noir vibe. But the real game changer was Fatal Attraction in 87. That movie proved this formula could be a monster hit at the box office. And that opened the floodgates. Everybody started making them, all building up to the genre's absolute peak in 1992 with Basic Instinct. But after that, the fall was fast. By 1995, with huge flops like Jade and Showgirls, the party was pretty much over.
And look, you just can't talk about the erotic thriller without focusing on the main event. There is one film that came to define the entire genre. It was its biggest success, its most extreme example, and, you could argue, the movie that both perfected it and killed it all at once. Basic Instinct. To get a sense of the hype, just look at this number. $3 million. In the early 90s, that was an absolutely insane amount of money to pay for a screenplay. It shattered the previous record. And what's even crazier, the screenwriter, Joe Esterhaus, claims he cranked the thing out in just 13 days. I mean, this wasn't just a movie, it was a phenomenon before they even shot a single frame. It shows you just how desperate Hollywood was for this kind of story. The market was absolutely ravenous. So the secret sauce here was the film's villain. Your classic femme fatale. She uses seduction as a tool to manipulate people. But Sharon Stone's character, Catherine Tremell, was something totally new. She was an evolution. She wasn't just using her sexuality, she was wielding it as a form of pure power. She wasn't just manipulating men, she was outsmarting them, psychologically dominating them. She had total control, and for the hero of the movie, she was like a mirror, reflecting all of his own dark impulses right back at him. And right at the center of it all was this absolute star-making performance. Sharon Stone, who was kind of an unknown at the time, gave the character this confidence and charisma that was both completely magnetic and, frankly, terrifying. She wasn't just playing a part, she was creating an icon of empowered, dangerous femininity that audiences had literally never seen before. And of course, it all came down to one unforgettable scene, the interrogation. She has no weapons, she makes no overt threats, it's just her, a white dress, and a chair, and she completely takes control of a room packed with cops. That single audacious move, the uncrossing of her legs, became a cultural lightning rod. It was the entire movie in one moment, defiant, shocking, and a total masterclass in power games.
Now, a movie that provocative was guaranteed to cause a reaction, and boy did it. Basic Instinct ignited a full-blown cultural firestorm. Protests started before the film was even out. Based on the script alone, it became a focal point for the biggest culture war debates of the time.
So, on one side, you had groups like the National Organization for Women and LGBTQ+ activists. Their argument was that the film was deeply harmful. It portrayed a bisexual woman as a homicidal maniac, and they said it was just trafficking in awful stereotypes. Protesters actually picketed theaters, arguing the movie was sending a dangerous message.
But then, on the complete opposite side, you had thinkers like Camille Paglia, who saw the film in a totally different light. She called the character a pagan goddess and celebrated her as this powerful, transgressive figure who just shattered conventions and challenged a male-dominated world. For them, Catherine Trammell wasn't a stereotype, she was a symbol of female power, even if it was a dark version of it. The debate was so fierce because the film just poked a raw nerve in the culture.
So, after hitting this massive, controversial peak, where could the genre possibly go? I mean, Basic Instinct took the formula to its absolute limit, and what came next was a very, very rapid decline. There were a few key things that killed it. First, the internet showed up. The novelty of seeing this kind of stuff in a mainstream movie basically vanished when you could find much more explicit things online, for free. Second, studios got scared. Big-budget follow-ups like Jade and Showgirls were colossal bombs, which made the money people really nervous about investing in adult dramas. Third, the direct-to-video market got flooded with cheap, terrible knockoffs that just diluted the whole brand. And finally, Hollywood's entire business model changed. The focus shifted to making these massive 4-quadrant blockbusters, movies designed for everyone, from kids to grandparents, and there was just no room for something as adult as the erotic thriller.
But here's the interesting thing. While the genre itself is pretty much gone, its DNA is still with us. You can totally see its influence in softer forms, from those stalker movies on Lifetime to even recent thrillers like Fair Play. The core ideas, psychological manipulation, sexual power games, the danger hiding just under the surface, they never really went away. They just got a lot less explicit for mainstream audiences.
And that leaves us with a final question, one that feels really relevant today. You know, the fall of the erotic thriller wasn't just about taste changing. It was about the business of Hollywood changing. In an era where algorithms are trying to predict what we'll like, and every big movie is designed to appeal to the widest possible audience on the planet, have we lost something? Has mainstream film become too safe, too sanitized for complicated, messy, adult stories about desire and danger? It's definitely something to think about the next time you're scrolling trying to find something to watch.